Hey everybody, my name's Cam Shea, and this is Luke Riley, I believe his name is. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good. We're from the IGN Australia team, and weirdly enough, we're chatting about Ryse today.
Weirdly enough,
because this is a game that I've honestly been pretty down on since I first saw it, since I first played it.
it really has.
Thought there wasn't much substance there. And I'm not saying that I was wrong about that necessarily, but I've played and finished the game now, and against all odds, I quite enjoyed it.
I was surprised.
Yeah, and well, I think everybody was surprised. And so I thought I'd get you've played a bit of it as well. So I thought
I'm
we'd
halfway through now.
Have a bit of a chat about it, see if we feel the kind of 6s and 7s across the board. It's been getting a fair, see if you agree with kind of my take on it, which is, in a nutshell, that it's a very kind of narrowly focused game.
Very.
You know, it leads you by the nose. It doesn't really try and do anything too kind of expansive, but I think because it knows what it's doing, it's got pretty good pacing and it's a very good technical showcase for the system. And even though the combat doesn't really evolve very much over the course of the game, I definitely found that it was quite a well-designed system, as limited as it was. So, you know, if it was 10, 20 hours long, I would have got really bored of it. But over 6 hours, which is what I think it took me to beat the game, you know what? I quite enjoyed it. And kind of the further in I got, the more I guess, I don't know whether I kind of just settled into its groove and just accepted it for what it was rather than kind of trying to critique it. But I enjoyed it.
For me, it's the best looking Dynasty Warriors game I've ever played.
No, but there's a tenth as many people on the battlefield as Dynasty Warriors.
Well, I mean, it's just it is just a lot of slashing and then knees bent, running around, advancing, slashing, and more slashing. And you're right, it doesn't evolve, and it's just the same.
It's a pretty weird kind of
it's just the
upgrade
same,
mechanic where you get more kind of finishing moves, but that doesn't actually change what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a little bit more variety and spice in the way you're decapitating people.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you mentioned this, but it's a really good-looking game, and particularly when you get to some of the middle sections, like I was saying that I've got it to now, where it's lush green forest and sort of these lapping brooks and that sort of stuff, and it's really pretty.
And yeah, I mean, it's not a spoiler because there's a lot of footage of it out there, but yeah, the Colosseum is a pretty spectacular setting.
I don't know. It's just really kind of. It's a game that I kind of could play in short bursts, but then I really did get a little bored of just the constant press X, press Y, press X, press Y to do this finishing move and so on and so forth. I just don't know how much.
Yeah, for me that became kind of just a means to the end.
Yeah,
a means to an end, because the kind of point of timing those executions right is boosting your health or your XP, so you can allocate the kind of perk that you get upon kind of hitting those dismemberments and those kills successfully.
I left it as health.
Well, I was switching it around all the time.
Yeah.
And I felt that was almost enough of a justification for the kind of rote nature of those killing sequences to keep me satisfied. I don't know. I'm usually really. And I was kind of pretty down on it for the first hour or so I was playing it, but it might just be because there just isn't that much else that's kind of I'm really that interested in the launch lineups for both systems.
Yeah. And
maybe my expectations were so low that when it wasn't utterly terrible, I was pleasantly surprised. But I kind of could compare Ryse to Killzone Shadowfall, and you know what? I enjoyed Ryse a whole lot more.
I can see, I can see that.
Killzone to me feels like a total mess.
Yeah.
Whereas, as I was saying before, Ryse is just a very focused vision, and it doesn't do anything too grand, except for the visuals. But it does what it does quite well. But yeah, coming back to the visuals, it's one of the only next-gen games that looks truly next-gen to me. I think the presentation is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the presentation I think is a massive plus, and the atmosphere that stems from that presentation, I think does it a real service.
Yep.
I think it makes it easy to keep playing. I'm not gonna put it aside and not finish it now.
Right.
The fact that I'm already 3 hours in and there's only 3 hours to go is pretty. Yeah. But the one thing that it did kind of get to me was that the repetition in the people that I'm also fighting against.
Yep.
not just the fighting, but the people I'm fighting against also really.
Oh, it's the same barbarian like 100 times.
Yeah,
that
I don't
ugly
know how many
bearded
times
dude.
I gutted that shirtless, fat
Yeah.
guy with a handlebar moustache.
Yeah. I know it's such a shame that the level of detail on the characters is so high. The level of detail in the environments is so high. The animations are really, really good.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't quite have the time, evidently, to go that extra step and just introduce a little bit of variety into those guys. Yeah, you see the same enemy over and over again. That really kind of got to me after a while, because I just felt like it's that extra 10% that would have taken the presentation from pretty incredible to, amazing.
Yeah, unless it's like, I don't know, 17 sets of octuplets who have hung around each other a really long time.
Barbarian inbreeding.
The same
they're probably all just half brothers, and but then they didn't have like any weird deformities that would indicate. We don't really need to get into whether barbarians.
Yeah, we're probably getting a little
inbreeding.
too granular with that fat guy. With Ryse, do you feel like it feels to me like I've taken this game from the office, borrowed it from the office, taken it home, and I'm not against finishing it. Mm-hmm. But if you'd have gone out and purchased it, would you feel like a chump?
If you've got like money to burn, then you wouldn't feel like a chump, because it is a good showcase for your system and it's a pretty solid game. But I actually do feel like IGN's review was bang on the money in terms of score, in terms of what the reviewer had to say. And yeah, I too didn't have to pay for the game, and I wouldn't have been happy if I'd paid for it. So there's definitely it's not a game that I would necessarily even recommend. I just quite enjoyed it, and that's against the way I was feeling up until I got my hands on the final game. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, and I even kind of quite enjoyed the story too. I mean, the dialogue's absolutely atrocious.
I like his accent.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, well, I like kind of the pulpy nature of it. Like you watch those sort of films about ancient Rome and stuff. Everyone has a British accent for no particular reason whatsoever, and that is the nature of Ryse, where everyone in it's British, and I kind of liked that. It felt kind of old school, I guess.
I just liked that there was kind of a bromance running through the game between Marius and Vanilla Icicus, or whatever the hell his name was. I can't really remember. Vaz Defronus. I don't know what the guy's name was. I don't really care either. But I didn't like the kind of the moment-to-moment dialogue. I thought it was really cliched. But the wider story was quite interesting and quite fun. So yeah, I don't know. What else have we got to say? I mean,
I don't know. I think there was a lot said in the lead up about the sort of really basic nature of the combat. It's all about press this button to counter, press this button to attack. And
finishing move, you don't even necessarily need to press anything.
You don't have to do anything. It just happens. And it's like, I get all that. And, it's kind of similar, reminds me a bit of Assassin's Creed a little bit. You have the counters, you have your attacks, you do all that sort of stuff, and you feel like you're sort of working to a script just to get things done. And it certainly works, but I'd like to see, if they really kind of just shoehorn this game into some kind of franchise and we get more of them. I'd definitely like to see
Electric Boogaloo, you're saying?
A lot more sort of nuance to the combat. Not necessarily any more, paths to the sort of levels themselves. I get that it's a very linear Call of Duty like kind of game set in ancient Rome. Even those things when you're storming the beach, on the English shores, and your shield. I kind of like those sections.
Oh, the turtle shield.
Yeah, when you're getting sort of assaulted by arrows and that sort of stuff. But I don't know. It feels like a game that you would borrow from a friend. And then return.
Yes,
I agree. To said friend.
So if we were to say, is Ryse worth your money? Honestly, no.
Not really.
But it's worth playing, I think. Because what else are you going to play on your Xbox One right now? Apart from Forza, which is awesome.
Yeah, Forza's good.
Yeah. And Killer Instinct's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a few things.
Yeah. Or sports, if you like sports.
Yeah, if you like sports, you're set.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know how to end these things, do we?
No, we don't. For everything else on Ryse,
and
all those other games that we just trashed, stick with, except for Forza, stick with IGN.
Yeah, bye.